What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Tuesday, March 14th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an 8-game slate tonight. Totally whiffed last night's slate. It happens. Normally after we miss a game, or normally after we miss a slate, our next game picks are pretty good. So at the point guard position, I like Markel Fultz from the Orlando Magic playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the absolute worst defense overall. They give up the second most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Markel Fultz has averaged 29.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. Now, he's projected at 28.6 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score 35 fantasy points or more in this one, get you 5 times value or more. He's 6,500 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 234 points scored in this game, and Markel Fultz has scored 34, 39, and 24 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 32, and 31 minutes. And he scored 36 fantasy points in his last game versus the Spurs. So I like Markel Fultz here versus the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Caris LeVert from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 5th worst defense overall, give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Caris LeVert has averaged 24.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's projected at 24 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score 30 fantasy points or more, get you over 5 times value. He's 5,000 DraftKings salary, 1,000 more on FanDuel, so I love that DraftKings price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game. Caris LeVert has scored 28, 31, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 38, and 24 minutes. Caris LeVert scored 28 fantasy points in his last game versus the Hornets. I think he can go for 30 plus fantasy points here tonight. So I like Caris LeVert here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Naji Marshall from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the LA Lakers, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Naji Marshall has averaged 19.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 21.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's 4,100 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game. And Naji Marshall has scored 14, 26, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 35, and 25 minutes. So I like Naji Marshall as a value play in a good matchup here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. Now, I'm not in love with this play, but I do think he can hit value here tonight. So I like Royce ONeill from the Brooklyn Nets playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the 7th worst defense overall, give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Royce ONeill has averaged 24.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 22.7 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score 25 fantasy points or more, get you 5 times value or more. He's $5,000 DraftKings salary, $500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 230.5 points scored in this game, and Royce ONeill has scored 25 and 42 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 29 and 36 minutes. And I like this pick because he scored 39, 28, and 30 fantasy points in his last 3 games versus the Thunder. So I like Royce ONeill here versus the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position, I like Wendell Carter Jr. from the Orlando Magic playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the absolute worst defense overall, give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing centers. Wendell Carter Jr. has averaged 32 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 31.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $6,300 DraftKings salary, $1,100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 234 points scored in this game. Wendell Carter Jr. scored 48 fantasy points last game in 41 minutes. He's got a pretty good track record here versus the Spurs throughout his last game. Scored a 43, 31, 27, and a 32. So I like Wendell Carter Jr. here versus the San Antonio Spurs.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.